Welcome to Recruitment Rehab, the podcast for your recruitment confessions. Yes, we'll talk about what makes a great recruiter, a great recruitment business, and the secrets behind the success of our various guests. But we're also here to unpack why the industry has such a stellar reputation. You know, like being ranked just above traffic wardens and just below estate agents in the public's hearts. Each episode, we're going to be joined by guests from across the recruitment spectrum to share war stories, confess their past sins, and even maybe admit to being the reason that someone was sworn off recruiters forever. It's part therapy, part revelation, and entirely more honest than your average job spec. This is Recruitment Rehab. Let's get stuck in. Today's guest went from unpaid intern at Hire Group to leading financial services recruitment across the US and USA in under 5 years. He launched 3 new markets, including building the US desk from scratch and built $250K in just 3 quarters last year. In 2025, he launched his own US-focused recruitment firm. He's already signed 22 new client agreements, done 6 placements, and billed $111,000 in just 5 months this year. Brandon, welcome to Recruitment Rehab.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
We'll start at the beginning. So talk to us about your journey to where you are now, how you got into recruitment.
Good question. So, as everyone else does, fell into the industry. I was approached by Hire Group in the middle of lockdown 2020 when there was no jobs going. I knew I wanted to do sales, but what sales that was, I had no clue. I just knew it was something in that type of environment. And yeah, I was approached by Hire Group, went through multiple rounds of interviews and then got offered an unpaid internship,
Right.
which at the time was fantastic. It was what I needed. I had no sales experience. So I decided to take it and did it for 3 months, commuting back and forth from Stoke every day.
So how was that?
Yeah, it's about on the train about an hour long.
Right.
So up at 5:30, getting back 8:30, 9 o'clock every day. But in all fairness, the environment that I was in, the team I was in, it was just fantastic. Like absolutely fell in love with the industry and fell in love with the team that I was in. So that was how my kind of story started, really. Got approached and just took a big leap of faith, and hopefully it's materialized.
So I've never heard of people starting in recruitment on an unpaid internship. Were you not interviewing for paid roles? Like what made you take that?
I'm a bit of an impulsive individual, for better or for worse. And I had no sales experience. On my CV, I had written that I had done seasons abroad in Kavos, saying I was a head promoter, increasing sales by 157%.
Yeah.
It was just rubbish,
Yeah.
lies. So I had no background or suitable skill sets to actually get into a sales job. And in the moment of when that was presented to me, and it was unpaid, like, yes, there's a risk from their side and from my side, but they're not paying me. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I just thought, you know what? I'm back in Stoke after university. I want to get back to Manchester ASAP. I'm just going to throw myself into it, mate. And this is, that's why I did it, really.
So were you on like a decent commission scheme then, like compared to what you would be if you were paid?
I can't even remember, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, I didn't make any placements,
Right.
but I think they just saw the graft and the commitment from my side. And yeah, I think they did offer me an accelerated structure, but whether that came to fruition because I didn't do any deals, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
So I just took the leap, mate, to be honest.
How long was it until you were on like a proper full-time contract?
After 3 months, so
right.
I think it was September time, I want to say.
It's, led to being a success for you regardless. And 40% of people fall out of recruitment in the first 12 months. So what do you think the reason was that you went on to have success, whereas so many people fail?
I think at the time looking at it, I didn't feel lucky. Now I look back, I was very lucky that I was birthed into the hells of a terrible market.
Right.
Like lockdown 2020, it was terrible. There was nobody hiring, candidates galore. And also I was chucked into a market which the business had no presence in, which was London technology. They were a Manchester focused business. So if you look at it from, I suppose, an outside perspective, you've got a young lad with no sales experience, coming into one of the hardest markets possible, and then being chucked into a market where the firm that he works for has no presence or no real arm in. I was lucky that I had a good support and a good team and a good network. But the odds were stacked against me, but I made it work. I was there every day, coming in 5 days a week, even though I wasn't being paid. Afterwards, still being in. And I grew and I grafted and, I got the development that I needed, but everything was done off my back. I can truthfully say that 90%, 95% of my deals have been genuinely full 360. So everything that I've built from my own client origination. And I think having that hardship and that really tough market to come into, when you come into 2022, 2023, 2024, when people are saying that those years, well, not 22, but 23, 24 were difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but because I was born in that terrible environment and it was so harsh, it made me the recruiter I am today. Yeah. So it was the tough times that make the good times for me, mate.
100%. I think definitely anyone who's recruited pre-COVID will find these current times a lot easier than someone who started in 2022.
100%.
Quite passionate about that. But what about those first 12 months? Like you said, you grafted, which is obviously why you've been able to get through those first 12 months and be successful. But where does that come from? Where does that graft come from? Because so many people aren't willing to put that graft in the early stages.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really good question. I think it comes from a natural background of competition, like the competitive nature of me, coming from sports background, boxing, rugby. I always wanted, if I ever do something, like I'll give you my all. And if it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. But then at least I can look back and say, do you know what? There's no regrets.
Yeah.
I gave it all. So I think that's the innate nature of me. But again, I don't want to put this on anyone else besides myself, but the environment that I was in at the time, like in terms of the business hire group that I was at, I loved it. I loved the people around me. I loved the team. We were a group of idiots, bar the managing director, I should say, who were just coming together to really try and build something. And I think the people around me played a big part in the reason why I stuck through. Yeah. That's why I say I am lucky, even though I was born into a hard time of the industry. I think I had a really good group of people around me that all wanted us to work and win together. Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from, mate, really. Yeah. I was quite lucky.
You touched on sporting background there. We often, you'll be the same, right? Doing rec to rec, get asked for people from sporting backgrounds. Yep. Recruitment business owners tend to like that. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's a good question again. Again, it comes back through competition. Sales is competition. Like nobody wants to be second best. Nobody wants to be third best. Everybody wants to be the best. So in a sports environment and that nature of the way it is, you have to be competitive. You have to put the shift in. You have to commit as well. So if you're in a football team, in a rugby team, or whatever that is, you are committing to that team and you're committing to the winning and you're committing to the goals. So I think that's what brings about the nature. And that's why a lot of people are successful in sales when they come from a sporting background. I'm not saying you have to be, but it certainly helps.
Yeah, definitely transferable, isn't there? I think the culture of a dressing room as well is not too dissimilar to that of a recruitment office at times. It can be quite ruthless and you have to become quite self-aware and thick-skinned.
Yeah, I was going to say thick-skinned. Yeah. Them dressing rooms can be brutal, mate. So. Yeah.
So were you a rugby player?
I was, mate. I was a winger. So I had a bit of pace. Right. But I was a bit scared of tackling. Right. Okay. And that's why. But I played it for about 6-7 years, all through secondary school. Played a little bit at university. But yeah, man, I loved it. It's amazing. Tough sport, though.
Yeah, too tough for me. So in terms of recruitment then, and your career today, what's been the big light bulb moment that you've had in the past few years?
Okay, yeah. I was thinking, I've got two really. I think one's more on a skill development perspective, and then one's on like a career. So the skill development one is, to give you a bit of background, when I first started in recruitment, I was so scared of speaking to clients. Like, borderline terrified. I used to get on the phone, I'd quiver, I'd stutter, I'd be visibly sweating. I was like, I can't do this. I really struggled. And that just came from having no sales experience, not having any phone skill experience. And I had this one call and it knocked me for six. It really put me back. And I was speaking to a prospect client. I submitted them a candidate anonymously, got on the phone, talking through the client and the candidate, and the call was going actually quite well considering everything. And I dropped the word mate at the end of the conversation to him. And I was like, listen, mate, why didn't we get terms agreed? And then he stopped me in my tracks and went, hold on a second. Do I know you? And I was like, no, it's the first time speaking. I'm getting to know you now. I went, why the F are you calling me mate? You stupid little, starts with a P, ends with a K, and put the phone down on me.
Wow. And
I remember this whole like rush of blood and just heat in my body just came over, and it knocked me for six. And I just was so scared to get on the phone. So I had a one-to-one with my boss at the time, and he told me something that's so obvious, but for someone like me who just didn't have any experience at the time, it really resonated, is you don't work for clients, you work with them. As a recruiter, well, recruitment consultants, like, you offer them a service. And usually if you have a candidate of interest, arguably you've got the power of balancing the conversation. So don't put clients on a pedestal, which is what I used to do all the time. If you speak to like a CEO or an MD of a business. And when he said that, I think something just clicked. That happens to me sometimes. Like, you'll hear something just clicks. And then from then onwards, I just had this confidence about me on the phone of, I'm speaking to you, like, I'm helping you out. Like, I'm not just another recruiter trying to break through. Like, I've got something here valuable. And when we had that conversation, and it was just a 1-to-1 10-minute chat, it just completely changed everything for me. And then obviously grew different markets, and then come to where I am now, mate. So
what a prick that guy sounds like.
I didn't know whether I could say it or not, so I didn't want to say that.
That is exactly why. Well, one of the contributing factors as to why people hate recruiters, but we'll get onto that.
Yeah.
But what an idiot.
Yeah, I was, honestly, I can't even tell you how like sick in my stomach I was at the time when it happened, but it made me. So
at least you kept it together. But no, I agree. That's funny. If I was asked that same question, my answer would be exactly the same. Like, it was Trevor Pinder, and I reference him a lot, but like, he was a recruitment trainer that we used at Energize, and he was like, you put clients up there, like, you are next to them. Like, they need you just like you need them. So I think that's really good advice. You mentioned there was another one, or was it?
This was more about becoming where I am now. So, when I built out our front office quantitative research finance markets, and I saw that I built up fairly quickly, and then obviously went to the US, and that was a market that historically we couldn't crack. We had people try it and attempt it, and it didn't work. So I put my hand up, and then there was two other lads who did it with me, and we were cracking it. And I remember when we started cracking it, I thought to myself, I need to do this for me. Like, I saw the fees and the money that could be made, and I was just thinking, I've done this now 3 different times in an employment. And at the time of when I was thinking about this, I had about 4 or 5 key clients of mine. One of them in particular, I won't name him, but he'll know who he is, who was just pushing me to go off on your own. He just wouldn't let it go. He's like, you need to do it. And I kept saying, I'll think about it. And when I had like 4 or 5 different clients telling me the exact same thing, you have to listen to them, to that stuff. And when I started building the US and things started coming to fruition, that's when I was like, do you know what? I need to do this for myself. And then that was a bit of a light bulb moment there too, of just, like, even listen to your peers, well, not your peers, but listen to what people are saying. It's easy just to keep your eyes and your ears shut and just focus on what you're doing. And, here I am now, and it was a good decision.
Yeah, they're people as well that have done what they're telling you to do. Yeah. And they are clearly therefore in a position of authority to, see that you're going to be good at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd be stupid not to listen to him, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. So he knows who he is, but thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
you can
appreciate
tell me
it.
after this. You mentioned something earlier as well about going into one of the toughest markets out there, meaning rec to rec, presumably.
Well, rec to rec, definitely, but I was more talking about just the general industry.
Right, okay.
Just obviously, it was so tough. There's loads of candidates out there, but nobody was hiring. But no, I do believe rec to rec is a very difficult industry.
Why do you think rec to rec's harder than other markets, potentially?
I might do my branding not much justice saying this, but recruiters are unreliable.
Yeah.
That's one thing, first and foremost. If you're working in finance recruitment and you're dealing with an accountant, they're going to be professional. They're going to turn up to interviews. They're going to, follow lead. Whereas, and I think you could probably agree with me, recruiters, they miss interviews. They drop you a last minute text. Like, they are to an extent quite unprofessional, which is one thing. And then also, trying to use sales tactics against a salesman isn't going to work.
Yeah.
If you start saying things, they go, oh, I say that to my candidates. You're like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm trying to do a job on you here. So those are the things that I think make it quite hard.
Yeah.
Is I don't think unprofessional, but just they can be quite unreliable, and you can't use the sales tactics that, of course, they will be using on their candidates.
No, I completely agree. Particularly with the second point. Because like negotiating terms, they know exactly what games you play in, trying to pre-close a recruiter and maintain control and stuff like that. Like you almost cringe a little bit when you're doing it, don't you? It's all right with grads, but like experienced recruiters and stuff, they know the game. So yeah, I completely agree with that. It is tougher, but it's also rewarding. You get to speak with people who do the same job as you, and you can obviously add value from that point of view. But
I don't know if you would think this. Do you think there's a stigma around rec to recs versus just like genuine other recruiters? Because I think rec to recs get it quite hard.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I often question, is that just my own insecurity?
Sure.
But there's probably a whole different conversation about why people potentially have that stigma of rec to recs. But yeah, I definitely feel up against it at times. But I think it comes back to the fact that they know what we're doing, and that's probably why. Look, listen, mate, I can do your job. I know your game. Whereas other industries, maybe you're not up against that.
Yeah, I think that's probably a very good point.
Yeah. So, what I was going to ask is, like, in terms of the progress you've made to date and where you are now owning a business, if you could go back in time and speak to young Brandon starting at Hire Group, like, what one piece of advice would you give him?
Oh, God. Anyone who knows me knows there's probably a lot of things that I should have done better. I wouldn't change anything that I've done. I think whatever you do, it makes you who you are. And there's things that I did, things that, there's mistakes that you make and you learn from them. I think the advice that I would give myself is just chill out a little bit. I was very easily excitable when I first joined, because I'm from Stoke-on-Trent originally, which is, no offense to any of my Stoke friends and family, it's not the greatest stuff. It's not exactly a lively place to be. So when I came to Manchester and there was the bright lights, the buzz, the atmosphere, the bars, I didn't really think about work. I was focusing more on the enjoyment. Yeah. And there's lads who I know who are younger than me, and in their careers, they've progressed, quite close to where I am now at a much younger age. And I always look back and think, could I have focused more to begin with? Because I was so easily excited around just everything else but work, which wasn't obviously an ideal situation. So it would just be probably calm down for me, if I'm being honest. Just calm down a bit, do your work, enjoy yourself when you need to enjoy yourself, but don't enjoy yourself all the time.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's good advice. And it kind of leads on to the next question, like, what is one thing you see people just getting into recruitment do time and time again that ultimately leads to them failing?
I think this is twofold, because I think we as the industry have to take some accountability to this, because when you're an entry-level recruiter, you don't know what the hell you're going into. You don't know what a good firm is. You don't know what a bad firm is. So there's an element from the employer's side. You hear some horror stories where firms will just bring you in, they'll chew you up and they'll spit you back out like you are disposable, especially these larger grad hiring recruitment firms that you see in like London, for instance. So it can leave quite a bitter taste in people's mouths. But then I also think that there's an unrealistic expectation of recruitment. And again, this boils back from what the industry throws out there to the market, or just to the industry as a whole, is the cash, the high billings, the watches, the incentives, and it all looks fantastic, and it really does, and it is achievable. I'm not dismaying the fact that it isn't, but what we fail to show as well, especially when we speak to candidates or these entry level people, is this job is a sacrifice. Like, this job will consume your life.
Yeah.
People may not think that's right, what I'm saying, but especially in that first 12 months, if you don't let that job consume your life, you know, you're doing calls after hours, you're doing calls early hours, you'll be doing calls on holidays, you'll be doing calls over Christmas. Like, it takes over your life, but we don't show that to people when we're interviewing them. So they come in thinking, oh, we're going to make some quick, easy money. You can make quick money, but it's by no means easy. And I think we set an expectation out there to these young people of, come in and make loads of money, but, you know, we don't say you've got to sacrifice, you've got to work really hard.
Yeah.
And I think they think afterwards, do you know what, sack this, I just want to do a 9 to 5 and get a higher base salary and I'll be all right. So those are kind of the reasons I think behind it.
Making sure that they have a really clear understanding of what's to be expected.
Well, we spoke about this, I think, over, like, we've had a few chats about it, about the kind of the authenticity around things, where we just, as humans, like to just, we have an innate bias to just show the goods and we don't just show the bads, which, you know, I get it. You don't want to show your bads, but that's what makes you true. And that's what makes you authentic. Yeah. And that's what I think we need to show more of, the, not the ugly side of it, but, you know, there is a sacrifice here that has to be made. You've got to commit to it, or else you're not going to last in the industry.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair point. I think, you know, it could sometimes be detrimental to your brand, but certainly with getting the right people into your business, it would help paint a much clearer picture of what they've got to expect and potentially help with attrition.
Well, I think attrition is probably in recruitment. It must be one of the highest industries for it. It has to be. Like,
I wouldn't know, but I wouldn't surprise.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be. It's like a revolving door sometimes, isn't it? So
100%.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you do every day that's a non-negotiable that has led to you being as successful as you have been?
This has come into my life since starting my own business, and it's a structured routine and time allocation in terms of my inputs on a day-to-day basis. So prior to setting up my business, I'd come into the day at work under the safety net of a base salary, whatever, and I'd just kind of get on with the day. I wouldn't structure my day out the way that I do now. It'd just be, I'll do a bit of this, I'll do a bit of that, and then I'd end up packing my bags, go back home. Whereas now, and they say it always, routine is king. So if I don't stick to my routine day to day, I feel like I've had a terrible day. Like, I have to stick to it. So for me, just in a nutshell, it's start work at 10:30. I know it sounds lazy, but it's because of the US hours.
Yeah.
So I go to the gym in the morning, get that in the morning, do my work from 10:30, and that's business development from 10:30 till about 12:30.
So what time is it in the US then when you do BD?
So it depends where. If it's East Coast, that's 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
But I'll schedule the evenings later. But I just get them out. And then if it's West Coast, that's 10:30. It's 2:30. So
it's mainly like getting your emails set up for campaigns or whatever.
Well, tell a lie. It's process management for 30 minutes, and then it's business development and outreach till about 1:30.
Right.
Then it's lunch. Then I work a further 2 hours for the afternoon on candidate generation. You'll laugh at this. I have a 20-minute nap.
Right, fair.
Every day, mate. It does me wonders, I swear to you. I mean, I couldn't do it in employment, but yeah, a little 20-minute nap.
It's the beauty of working for yourself, mate.
That's the beauty behind it. And then the rest of the day is just candidate generation. And that's the way my day is structured day in, day out. But then I'll have time allocated spots where it's an hour or an hour and a half doing BD. Then it's an hour doing a specific role that I'm working on, or another hour And I found myself to be so much more efficient with my days. And the day goes quicker because when you doom scroll on LinkedIn, as we've all been there and done it, the day just it's a slog of a day, and you end up doing actually not that much. So having like power hours or power hour and a half, that's what I've seen has made me be able to not become as successful, but see the success that I've had.
Yeah.
Because of the efficiency in the time spots.
But I think that's really valuable advice. So thank you for that. I want to move on to recruitment's reputation. So,
okay.
I think it's fair to say that a lot of people don't have the best perception of recruiters.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think I mentioned it earlier. And I'm actually going to say this. I don't think it's us Northerners, recruiters. I think it's the Southerners. And I'm probably going to lose all my Southern connections to my networks, but and I like it personally. But of course, what I'm about to say, when you look at it as it is, you're going to create a sense of this. You look like a bit of a twat. That's my French. It's the suits, the phone calls like this. Yeah. The watches, the espresso martinis in hand. And I think people just look at those types of people and think, you're a bit of an idiot.
Like the infamous video. I'm a recruiter.
Oh,
I'm getting a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, like, it's the job and it's what we have to do. So we just got to take it on the chin, unfortunately. I think that's the reason why people love to hate recruiters.
Bit of a flashy industry.
Yeah, it's a flashy industry for sure. You see as of recent now, the big commission checks.
Oh yeah, that's the new one, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah. I just look at it and I think it's obviously amazing what they've done, but what are you going to do with the check? Like, where's it get? The person's not going to walk home with that commission check because they're going to get mugged or something. So yeah, I think there's that part to it as well, and I think this applies to any industry. There are some really bad recruiters out there that just really do a terrible job, and it can just leave a very bitter taste in people's mouths. But that applies to any industry. Not everybody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm sure you're not, but there are some really bad ones out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any ways that you can think of in which you've perhaps contributed to recruitment not having the best reputation?
I'll tell you what I used to do early on. I don't do it now. Is I used to, when I got a candidate on, just spec out to all the clients just to get the representation.
Really?
Yeah, it was really naughty. I shouldn't have done it. And I probably not doing myself any favors saying this, but yeah.
So you would just like spray their profile out, not anonymized. Clients you were working with.
Well, the way I'd do it is I'd say, I'd just send over the CV, the spec, and just say, I'm working this guy. Can we have a quick chat? Or girl, but I'd do it so I get the representation.
Yeah.
And what would happen is the candidate who I'm working with would get all these companies viewing the profile. Why are these viewing? I go, I've actually got a role here to speak to you about. And he goes, you've already spoken to them about me, haven't you? And he went, yeah. And he went, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't told you can do that. But that's when I was very junior on it. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So that's definitely one part of how I contributed towards the industry getting the name that it does.
Mate, that's the dark arts. But you know what? Answering that question on a podcast, there's not many people who would answer it honestly, and like it definitely happens. It's like, it's not great service, and like as you get a bit more mature, you wouldn't do it, would you? But
I'm too honest for my own good.
It happens it happens way more than people will probably admit. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made in recruitment, or the most embarrassing mistake?
Oh God, yes. So this one's actually since I started the business. It's not a mistake. It's more just an embarrassing moment.
Right.
So anyone who knows me, when I worked at Higher Group, before a Teams call, when the client joins the Teams call, I'd have the vape ready and I'd do a big like that. So just to give you a bit of context, I've got my laptop here with the Teams call on. I've got my monitor there, and I've got Justin Bieber Peaches on the speaker playing, blast that out, right? I'm singing to the bottom of my life. I'm singing my heart out. with the vape in my hand. And somehow this client has bypassed the lobby on the Teams call. And this client is a retained boutique financial services executive search firm. Like, these guys are prim and proper. And he's the managing partner of the business. So I'm there looking at the screen, going, I got my peaches out in Georgia, like that, singing it. And he's just sat there, his arms crossed,
mate.
And it was about 20 seconds, which doesn't sound long, but 20 seconds
that is long.
Just singing and obviously being on my vape. And I'm singing and I've looked around and I've gone, and he's gone, morning. And I've gone, morning. And he just turned off the Teams call. Never spoke to me again. Never spoke to me again.
I thought it was going to end better than that.
No, I thought it'd be better. I was hoping to tell you the story that, we're good clients now, but no, he never spoke to me again.
Right, so, that is a shocker.
Yeah, it was a shocker, mate. But he somehow, I don't know how he bypassed that lobby, but he did. And then, there was no coming back from it, man. So
fair.
It's more of a moronic mistake than anything else, but.
Mate, fair play. So aside from not specking candidates when they've not given you permission and singing and vaping on Teams calls, what do you do differently now compared to when you started?
So this was the thing. When I first started Veracity Partnerships, what I said to myself is I need to be brutally honest with my skill sets and brutally honest with every process that I work in. And because ultimately I'm eating I eat what I kill. If I don't make any placements, I don't make any money. I've got no salary. So I have to make sure that what I'm doing is perfected to an absolute T. So I'm dissecting every part of the process. So for instance, I think I made a post about it recently about salary expectations, and about not waiting to the back end of the process to then reveal it or to reiterate it. It's like every conversation, every interview process has happened. This is what I'm looking for. Are you happy with this? Cool. Keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. So when it gets to that point, there's no salary discrepancy, because that's something I used to have a lot previously. Was the candidate would want this, the client would come in here. And I suppose because I was under the safety net of a salary, I wasn't necessarily, I wanted to do a deal, obviously, but I wasn't really focusing on why it was going like that.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. And it's just dissecting the process and just being brutally honest with myself. Like, if something goes wrong, like, don't blame anyone else. Like, it has to be me. Something that I could have done better. I had it with a fee in May, and it was going to be my largest ever fee. It was a $30,000 fee. And something happened with the candidate and the client. They didn't end up meeting. And it was and I look back and, it's because rather than calling up the candidate, I was texting him a little bit too much.
Right.
And he ended up missing the meeting. And then there was a UK client. They ended up going back to the UK. So they never made the offer. And as much as it annoyed me, because I did text him, if I'd have called him or if I'd done something different, I would have avoided that. So it's just taking little bits from every process and just tweaking it and then just perfecting it. So then when the processes come in the future, I know what needs to be done. And then of course it's just like what I do differently is just the structure. Like that's I can't like reiterate how important structure is. Like I'm saying it now as a business owner, but even if you're employed by someone, like structure is everything. Like that's where you're going to get the success.
I think a lot of that, what you just touched on, is like maturity as well and self-awareness. And I think that just comes with time as well.
Maybe I'm growing up a little bit.
Yeah, just like being able to reflect on what you do well, what you don't do well, instead of looking for someone else to blame. And, but no, that's really good advice. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about recruiters?
I think there's a big misconception that they think it's an easy job. I've seen many LinkedIn posts. I've seen on social media that recruitment's an easy game. And if you break down the mechanics of recruitment, so from candidate qualification to deal conversion, yes, the steps are relatively straightforward. It's candidate qualification, it's interview matches, run them through the process, then deal conversion. So there's like 4 or 5 steps, but our product is people. and people are unreliable and unpredictable as hell. So it's not like we're selling a phone or I'm selling you this glass. You like, it's fixed. You know what it is. Like, people have emotions, and there's so many variables in the industry that you can't, not that you can fully control, but you can put the necessary steps in to make it as probable or likely to fall in your favor. But that's really difficult. And I think there's just conception that recruitment's just pick up the phone, get a candidate into interview, place them, and then move on to the next.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it to dissect.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, I'd say that's probably for me, the largest misconception, that it's an easy job. It's not.
What one thing would you change about the industry overnight if you could?
Authenticity. Yeah, we spoke about this.
Yeah.
When I started the business, I said to myself, I'm going to give everybody who's ever thought about running their own business or thought about starting up on their own, I want to give them a real journey of what it looks like. So you saw my post to begin with. They were getting a bit philosophical, which I'm not a philosophical guy, but about like mental, like perspective and appreciating what you've got, but then showing you like the tough times where I was budgeting on £100 a week, but 70 quid of that was going on food and petrol, so £30 a week. Like, I wasn't living. And then, you know, more recently, you've seen the successes. But what I think a lot of people like to do on this platform and in social media in general is just show the goods. And like, it's, the goods should be celebrated. Like, there's no, I'm not dismaying that, but the constant positivity and the constant, you know, we're on fire, we're smashing it. It's like, don't believe it. I don't believe it. Like, everyone's having their tough times. I'm not saying you've got to post about it, but I just feel like it's really just generic, wishy-washy, high achievement stuff, and a lot of the time it isn't true when you look into it properly. You know, I've seen a few posts and I know people personally, they like the way that they portray themselves on LinkedIn, it's very far from their reality. So I think just be more real.
Yeah.
That's what I'd love. Just a bit more just a bit more truthfulness to the to the industry.
Right. I feel so passionately about that. Yeah. Like everyone is, why does everyone have to pretend that they're absolutely smashing it? Like, you can talk about when you're struggling or you're having bad months. It's like everyone's portrays themselves as an expert as well. And it's like, why can't you just accept that there's more than one way to skin a cat? Or just because you don't think that's the best way to run a recruitment business doesn't necessarily mean it's not right for that person. They might not have the same goals as you, for example. Like, it's just life in general, isn't it? Like, just be quite grateful for where you are and don't worry about where other people are. Yeah.
Well, the comparison's the thief of all joy as well, I think. So, you know, you can see when I was going through my time in the beginning of just like not living, like really struggling on like a mental side, just like going from a 5-day big atmosphere office to being sat on my own in the back room of the house, and you see all this stuff, and you know, it can make you feel a certain type of way, but I recognize it for what it is, but some people don't. And you know, that can contribute to people feeling the way they do, but that's a whole different other story to get into. But yeah. So
I see a lot of people on LinkedIn talk about, I suppose it ties in quite nicely, why they got into recruitment. And I just want to help people and change people's lives. And look, I'm not saying that can't be a reason for you working in recruitment, but I personally don't buy it a lot of the time. I don't believe the people that are saying it, maybe because I know these people, but I often find that it's not genuine. Why do you believe people get into recruitment?
I mean, simply put, it's to make money. There's nothing else to it. I fell into this trap when I've interviewed and said, I want to help people and I want to build relationships. And, you know, I'm sure if you've got a moral compass, go to an old people's home and look after them. Like, if you're going to come into recruitment, you come to the industry because you can make money, and you can make it quick if you put the right effort into it. I think the building relationships points, I think, yes, that is a fair reason to get into it. I don't think when you first interview for a recruitment role or you first get into the industry, that's the reason why you get into it. Like I can look back now and say, yeah, building relationships actually has probably got me to where I am right now. So that's great. But I think the main thing is it's the money.
Yeah.
It's the money. It's to come out of, whatever job you're at or come out of university and come into a job where if you apply yourself, you can make some really good money. And I think a lot of founders and employers would like to hear that as well, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I want to make money.
I think the other things are a nice byproduct, but I personally think it's the money progression. But look, I'm not saying I'm right and there can't be people out there who get in for those reasons. But I just think if that's your main driver to sort of build relationships and help people, there are much easier, less stressful jobs that you can do than recruitment.
It's too hard of a job to come into. Like, if your motivation isn't financially, it's too goddamn hard of a job to be in for anything else.
I agree. So. We might get pelters in the comments, but let's see.
Listen, I'm used to a bit of scrutiny, so it's all good.
So, what advice would you give someone if they were considering using a recruiter to find a job? What advice would you give them in terms of what they should look for and how to choose a recruiter ultimately?
So I think the main thing is the depth of understanding of the recruiter with regards to their clients. So if you are speaking to a recruiter and they are representing a technology recruitment firm and they're basically just giving you the most vague explanations of what they do, but with no real detailed or concrete understanding of it, it's all very wishy-washy and vague. That's a red flag for me, because I know for me personally, if I'm going to work with a client, what I always tell them is I want to know everything about you, ins and outs. I want to know you at the back of my hands, because when you speak to a candidate of interest, they're going to be impressed by what it is. The candidate will be impressed by you, and it shows that you're actually taking your job seriously as a recruiter. So if you're working with a recruiter who doesn't do that, I think there's a bit of a red flag there. And then the second piece to this would be if they're showing you 10 plus businesses to look at, that's a red flag. Like for me personally, I would always submit at tops 4 businesses to a candidate that I'm working with. But if they're sending you 10 businesses with just the business names and the links to their company websites, like that's a red flag. Like they don't take any pride in their job if they're doing that. Like you say, you do write-ups, I do write-ups, I live and die by write-ups, because it shows you're making a conscious effort to understand that candidate, that client, and to also provide a valuable service. So it's the detail around the clients and not sending a shitload then, a high number of client names.
Yeah.
Keep it targeted.
Hey, it's a safe space. Don't worry. You can say the
I know. I wasn't sure if I could swear then.
Okay, let's get on to some contentious topics.
Oh God.
So
here we go.
What's your thoughts on remote working versus hybrid working versus on-site?
I suppose, like, is there anything like specific you're asking there, or just genuine?
Well, okay. Some people think that it perhaps changes depending on the experience of the consultant. Like, where do you stand on it? Do you believe that all businesses should offer remote working, or certainly a few days a week for everyone? Do you think it needs to change based on experience level? Do you think everyone should be in the office no matter what?
I think dependent on experience level would be the nice thing in between, because if you're junior, you should not be expecting any days work from home. You need to be in the office. You need to be able to listen to your peers. You need people to listen into your calls. If you're working from home or you're remote, like, you're not going to get any development. So at the junior level, I believe you should be in every single day. That's how I feel about it. I think when you become more tenured, and
what would you class that as?
Oh, good question.
Would you do it on length of time? Would you do it when they've been promoted to a certain level?
I think promotion would be a good way to kind of delineate whether somebody should be getting hybrid working or not. Maybe a senior consultant title, I don't know. But I think someone who's proven month after month, year after year, that they're consistently doing well in this job, like, grant them a bit of flexibility, because, the job is consuming as it is. And, that one day a week or maybe 2 days a week, I think one day would be, probably perfect. it allows people just to do other things, like be able to get stuff done as well in the house. And I know that doesn't sound good to an employer, but it's a long hour job, this job. And I think people would appreciate not having to drive into work every single day and pay for expensive travel and parking and whatnot. So I think if you're proving your stripes, get a bit of flexibility. I think remote working, even though I am remote myself, I think I just don't know. I wouldn't encourage remote working, especially here in the UK. It's very much a thing in the US, but I don't think here in the UK. If you're in a sales job, you need to be in the team. It's a team culture. It's a team environment. If you're sat at home every single day with no collaboration or no interaction with the people you're working with, I don't think that's right.
Have you found that a challenge yourself?
Oh God, yeah. It's hard. It's very hard. Because I'm one of them people where my energy matches the people that I'm with. Like if it's a really atmospheric environment, I'll be, buzzing, I'll be dancing, singing, which for better or for worse, I should probably say, but,
often on Teams.
Yeah, often on Teams. But I do also think for me, I've found that I'm someone that can adapt well to situations. So I have found something that works from remote, but I do miss the environment. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm having a ball by myself. And yeah, I think if you are remote full time under an employment, I don't think it works.
What's your thoughts on KPIs?
KPIs are just never going to leave the industry. I know people whine and complain about it, but KPIs are a very important metric that are needed. I think the question, which I still am trying to figure out what the answer would be, is how much do you impose them? So metrics have to happen. KPIs need to happen because ultimately, as I'm sure you'd agree, if your recruiters are having a bad period or a bad month, you can resort to them metrics and them KPIs to reverse engineer what might be going wrong. If it's lack of interviews or lack of calls or lack of deals, like what's going wrong. But then you hear some horror stories where there's people that have been with the firm for good 10 years and they're getting daily KPIs. And then they have maybe one or two slow days and they're getting pulled into the meeting room. What's going on? Why are you not? And it's like, nobody's 100% all the time. Like we're going to have our days where things are a little bit slow. And I think it's striking that balance on KPIs on when to apply them and when not to. But again, it's a very, very open-ended question, really, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's down to seniority and everything else.
No, I really like that answer though. But yeah, that's the point of these contentious questions.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm trying to think if I wouldn't know what the solution would be to it, but it's a great question.
What about offering your employees flexible working, for example? Where do you stand on that?
I'm going to sound like a bit of a knob here. I think if you're working for somebody and they're offering and they're paying you a salary, you abide by their hours. Unless there's certain things like family situations or children, then I get it. But if you are a young professional, you shouldn't be asking for any flexible hours. Like you've got no reason to ask it. Of course, if you've later on in life or you're more mature and grown up and you've got other things, I get it. But my personal, and I probably sound very toxic saying this, would be if I'm offering you a job and you're working for me, like you should stick to the hours that we set. Because if you give it to one person, then somebody else wants it. And then there's a whole ripple effect. And then you end up having a whole business full of flexible hours recruiters, which no owner is going to want, are they?
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I'm asking the questions. Okay, I've had enough stick on LinkedIn over the years.
Okay.
How do you feel about the way LinkedIn is used these days?
It's definitely become less unprofessional. I play a big part in that, I would say, with some of my posts. But, I like the personalities that come out of LinkedIn. I think there was a period, definitely way before my time, where it was just purely professional, just jobs, roles, advertisements, and that was it. And it's become a platform where we can see people, I'm trying to think of the word here. you kind of see people just be their true selves on a platform. Like that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just being true to myself. Like some of my posts can be a little bit silly. Some of them are informative. Some of them can be a little bit controversial at times, but that's just me. And I like that with LinkedIn.
Just to close out then, how has success, or what success looks like to you, changed over the years since you started in recruitment?
So this probably, yeah, I didn't really have much ambition, I'll be honest, when I first started in the industry. I just enjoyed the job and I enjoyed doing what I was doing. If I tell you what my depiction of freedom, of success is now, it is one word, it's freedom. It's, and not freedom in the sense of just being able to do what I want when I want. That's not what I'm saying. But it's the freedom to make my own choices and be accountable for that. Like I am in control of my life. The decisions that I make, again, for better or for worse, whatever comes of it, it's on me, and I would take that accountability full-fledged. But, you know, it's the personal choice. It's the financial freedom that I want to attain to, and the freedom of choice. And that's what I really wanted to strive for. My family have a rich history of running their own businesses, from like car dealerships to door companies and retail stores. And I think it was in my blood to do this anyway. But I want to look back on my life and say that I've built something and I've built it myself. Mm. And I look at it, even, I think you can see it in my time at Higher Group. When I joined tech in London, we obviously grew with that, but that was grew with another chap in the business. And then I wanted to build something for myself, which was front office quant finance. So you can see it already in my career where I've wanted to build something and look back in life and think, you know what, I've done that myself. And I think that's what it is. It's the accountability for me. Yeah. Just to be like, yeah, man, I've done this, and I can give myself a little pat on the back at the end. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's like, yeah. But it might change. It might change in a few years. You never know. You never know.
What's next then for the business, for you? What does success look like over the next 6 to 12 months?
Great question. So it's just get that bank balance nice and healthy. I'm going to get myself over to New York and San Francisco next year, see some clients, because believe it or not, I've never actually been to the US.
Flying business?
Yeah.
You're going to fly business?
No. I mean, we'll see how the business.
See how many invoices come in. Yeah.
Don't want to run before I can walk, but yeah, get myself over to America next year. That's a real big goal for me, and be able to go over there and meet the clients. And well, I've never been to America, even though I do the US market. So that's one of the goals for now. Definitely considering hiring. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Like, I'm not rushing into that. I'm quite enjoying just being me, myself, be me, myself, and I. But I reckon 18 to 24 months. Might see somebody come join the bandwagon, I should say, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see, mate.
Well, mate, look, I think it's quite inspiring to see the success you've had in the first sort of 5-6 months of running it. You're clearly smashing it. So best of luck with it. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, Adam. Thank you very much, mate.